I got the 360 camera. I tried this so you don't have to. I was extremely surprised a couple of weeks ago. Insta360 got in touch with me and asked me if I wanted to review this camera. The 360 camera is extremely cool, especially for underwater diving footage. I reckon it just truly captures the beauty of the underwater world. It allows that whole wide view. So really quick rundown. Let's go through our pros. 1, gorgeous footage videos. 2, look how small and easy it is to actually hold. It's overall a pretty small and agile little camera. Another pro is this new updated version allows you to control the buttons from your dive case, so you do not need to turn it on before you jump into the water and then have really large files. So you can switch from photo mode, video mode, time-lapse, etc. to capture and stop, all while diving and doing your underwater adventures. Another pro, the actual camera itself is waterproof to 10 meters, while with the dive case, it is waterproof to 50 meters. I only tested it while freediving, and currently I'm only freediving to about 10 meters, but I like to always test it with the case rather than just this, because honestly, no matter the camera or how waterproof it is to what depth, I just feel more comfortable having a dive case, especially if I hit something. I just feel like I'm definitely not going to break the lens while it's in the case versus like this.
A really important part of using this particular setup with the invisible dive case and the invisible stick is to make sure that it's perfectly aligned together. That way you won't get any of the stick in the footage.
It also does have a nice big screen that you can see here, and you can flip whether you see this camera or this camera's footage while you are diving.
Another pro that's become extremely evident the more I use the Insta360 is the shoot first, frame later. So I can just enjoy my dive, not really thinking about what angles I'm filming or exactly what's going to be in the shot or what kind of content I'm going to create afterwards. And then once I have downtime and I can just chill out on the boat, like now, I can go through the app and fully change the frames completely to exactly what kind of content I want to create. So if I want to show me in third person, if I want to show me zoomed up, or if I want to show the complete other side of the Insta360 camera, so the wildlife, the coral, I can. Incredible flexibility just makes this the go-to action camera for me. I don't think I'll be using a different one.
Absolutely love how negatively buoyant the case and the stick are. So they're not too light, so while you're diving, you don't feel like you're being sucked to the surface like I do with my really large camera. But if you drop it, it drops nice and vertically and allows you to get some really cool footage like this. And lastly, it was pretty easy to set up. I am a type of person who does not like reading instruction manuals, and I really had to read minimal things to set this up, download the app, connect it to the app, made sure that it is updated, chuck it into the case, attach the stick to it, and jump into the ocean. I would say it took about 15 minutes for the whole setup process, which is not too bad at all considering it is a whole new piece of tech.
So I just have my Insta360 charging right here. So I tend to keep it in the case at all times, just in case. And you are going to set up the camera. The way to do it is you're gonna have to remove these little lens protections, just like that, before you put it into the dive case. This current setup is for on-land footage. When you're underwater, you need the dive case for the footage to appear seamless. Without the dive case, the Insta360 invisible stick is really easy to attach. It just screws in on the bottom, and then with the dive case, you simply put the dive case on first, make sure there's no dirt or debris on the lenses, close it up, and then you have a different type of attachment to attach the dive case to the invisible dive stick. Make sure that you use the invisible dive stick, otherwise the balance between the two will just not work as well and your footage will not be as good. In terms of the setting of the camera itself, you turn it on just here, and then you can choose what setting you would like to use down here. So if you are doing really shallow water, you can use 8K and 30 frames per second. However, if you do go a little bit deeper, the recommendation is to use the 5.7K 30 frames per second. This also works better in worse visibility, while the 8K is really optimal in shallow water where there's a lot of light, great visibility.
Cons for this so far, the file sizes are absolutely enormous, and as a content creator, I have a lot of GoPro and this footage now on my phone. Yeah, the app itself requires about 4 gig of data, so I would recommend have a big phone storage memory. I'm going to probably have to add extra storage to my phone to just be able to handle the large quality videos. Other con I found with the 360 is, unlike other cameras that just face forward, you can't really add a torch to your 360, because where would you shine it, or how would you attach it so it stayed fully invisible while you were diving? So I find that especially if you were going to be diving into deeper depths, you would be losing some of that color. I think the color by itself looks really good even without editing, and with editing I actually found it pretty easy, although again, really massive file sizes. That's why turning it off and on while you are diving allows you to create much smaller snippets of your dive experience. So let's get into the whole review. I took it out for the first time at the start of November, where I knew I wasn't going to be diving into great visibility. Visibility was about 5 to 10 meters at the best spots. Right here was our first spot where I tried it out. It was about 6 meters viz, but only about 3 meters of depth. However, the camera still made the water look really beautiful. It brought out the gorgeous colors, and with the wide angle view, it allowed me to capture a lot of the fish and the coral. And if I didn't notice a shark, like I haven't in the past with some of my footage, I would have definitely seen it afterwards. And I did the one request that the company had, which was to drop it, which made me extremely nervous, but it is perfectly buoyant. So as you drop it, it actually drops nice and vertically, creating this really cool image. And then when it lands on the bottom, it actually just rests with its stick and it just hangs out in the water. So it allowed me to get some really cool footage of myself without holding the stick, but also without having to like put something heavily down on the ground, potentially destroying the substrate. So that was our first trip out on the water. I do have some other trips planned where I'm going to be going to the Great Barrier Reef to have a bit more of a beautiful visibility option.
So it's day 2 of trying the Insta360 in the water. I'm on the Great Barrier Reef currently. It's a little bit overcast, so not as much color is going to be coming through because of the light or lack of light. But honestly, I've just had an incredible dive at this fantastic spot. A shark snuck up on me. I dove with a turtle. So I'm very excited to see what footage will come out of this.
I also use the advice that Bonnie and Gava gave about keeping your arm closer to your body so it gives a true third-person perspective rather than a selfie stick arm like in the first shot here on the left. So once we filmed the videos, the next step was to extract the videos from the camera. The app is really great for this. To start off with, it took some finessing, as these are 3 videos I tried to export, and then every time my thumb moved funnily and it ended up looking chaotic. But after a while, I think I got the hang of it, but I struggle in deciding which of these 3 viewpoints is the coolest. Personally, I find the vertical videos actually look better than the horizontal videos, unless it's a close-up like here, where I found a little dead fish. I don't know where it came from. I still need to work on my arm positioning better so it doesn't look awkward when I'm swimming around with it, so it does look like a truly third-person perspective.
Now, if you're just on a dive and filming the coral and the general environment around you, the wide angle allows you to capture really large perspectives. You can zoom in or do the world kind of view for a lot of the footage, which looks amazing. However, I found unless the animal is right next to you, then it looks a little bit further off in the footage. This turtle was about 2 meters away from me, and in the footage it still looks a little bit more distant. That's just what's going to happen with any wide angle action camera. You can switch your camera, the Insta360, to a single lens mode only, so you only film on one of the 2 sides, turning it into a more of a traditional camera. I would really love to get some of those incredible scenes where you're diving through like a school of fish or something and the fish are all around you. But I do find on the Great Barrier Reef, a lot of the sea creatures are quite skittish, so a lot of my footage is a little bit more distant than I would personally like. That's just because the wildlife is wild. So one day, hopefully, I'll be able to get some incredible footage with mantas or something, because those ones are a little bit less shy. The annoying part about this so far is I don't know how to store it on the boat without potentially scratching one of the plastic lenses, so I currently just have it hanging out and above. In conclusion, while the camera is a little bit pricey, it's 100% worth it. I don't think I'm going to be using any of my other action cameras. This is just my replacement for any other one I may have collected over the years. The incredible flexibility with what content I can create from the footage I take, the flexibility just gives me that peace of mind that I can just enjoy the dive, live in the moment, and then reframe everything later.